Hello, today we're going to show you a couple tips and tricks about the muzzle on the CZ Scorpions. So this happens to be a Gen 2, so when we remove the muzzle brake, it's going to have, and you just remove the muzzle brake by twisting it. There's a spring tab kind of on the top of the barrel nut that detents into each of the flats in the flash hider. So just twist it, comes right off. So Gen 2, it's going to have half 28 threads underneath this thread protector. And there's no specific tool that you need to get the thread protector off. It's got some flats milled into the face of it that you could, I guess, try to use like a flathead screwdriver on, but we typically use like channel locks or a vise to get them tight and take them off. You can also use a strap wrench on it if you wanted to. The one thing to note about the thread protector here is that there's typically not any thread lock on them, so they come on and off pretty easy. This is a brand new, never been fired Evo straight out of the box, and you're able to move this with your hand. So one thing that we do on customers' farms when they bring them in, and if they're going to keep the front end the same way, we'll typically take off the flash hider and thread lock the half 28 threads on if they're not going to use the half 28 threads for a muzzle device. If they are going to use these half 28 threads for a muzzle device, well, the reason for thread locking the flash hider on is so that it can't come loose once this flash hider is reinstalled, because there is space. You can kind of see it. There is space and opportunity, and we've seen it happen in the past where the thread protectors can come off inside of the flash hiders, and obviously then you get the round's going to strike, the projectile is going to strike the thread protector and cause issues. So yeah, so that'd be the reason to thread lock it on. If you're going to use a half 28 threaded muzzle device on your Evo, what most people don't recognize or realize is that this little gap here between the front of the barrel nut and the shoulder on the half 28 threads, there's actually a spacer included with your Evo from the factory that goes on these threads here. It looks like this. This is out of the, just again, right out of the box. It'll probably be right next to this golf divot tool that is actually a, just kidding, it's a for adjusting your front sight for elevation. So it'll be in a bag next to the sight tool. The spacer, we'll take it out of the bag. Again, looks kind of like a star washer, or like a ring, a decoder ring. There you go. It looks just like the bird cage, the flash hider, and one side of it is tapered or has a little bit of a conical machine groove to it. So see if you can see it from the side. One side is flat and this side's tapered. The tapered end is going to be just like the back side of your flash hider, and you've probably already figured out what it does. So we're going to use this on our exposed M18x1 threads here, the larger threads, to give us a good shoulder for your muzzle devices to go up against. Of course, they'll index on the barrel shoulder, but you can also, I mean, this is really going to give you an extra shoulder above it and protect your M18x1 threads. So again, pro tip, look in your box. It'll be in a bag next to the sight tool for this little spacer. And the way to install it, you don't have a lot of leverage, so just twisting it and trying to fight the spring tab is going to be a losing battle. What we typically do, or what we found, is that, and I'll try and do it here on camera, is that if you can kind of get under the spring tab with a pocket screwdriver, you can like rotate the spring tab kind of like up and away and out of this notch that it's in inside the barrel nut, and kind of push it, again, maybe like 10 degrees up onto the larger diameter of the barrel nut. So there's the groove or the valley or the channel that the spring tab was in. You can kind of push it up and over, again, 5-10 degrees up onto the larger diameter of the barrel nut, and that'll give you some clearance, you kind of see it here, to be able to start your thread protector with, and don't have to worry about damaging threads. And again, use the tapered side, or the conical side is going to go up against the barrel nut. So kind of slide that guy on there. You don't have to torque it down. Again, the spring tab is going to retain it. So find a groove where it's going to be happy, and bring your spring tab, kind of bring it back down. See if we can show that. Bring the spring tab back down into the channel that was on your barrel nut here, and find a groove inside the thread protector that it can use. And now you're ready to use alternate muzzle devices. So there's a bunch of flash headers out there. We make one that's half 28 threaded now. We call it the FH9 flash header, 9mm. And this guy is completely symmetrical, so you don't need to index it. It's the same all the way around. So you'll not need a crush washer. You can back it up against the shoulder and kind of torque it down as the threads time together and come together. Again, because it's a symmetrical flash header, and we designed it with that in mind. So there's lots of 9mm carbines that have different geometries on the muzzles, and having a symmetrical muzzle device kind of prevents the use of crush washers and timing devices and shims and putting things out of alignment. So super simple. Symmetrical flash headers are great for non-standard applications like we have with some of the AR style 9mm carbines that are on the market today, and others. If you do have to time the muzzle device, you can use a crush washer. We'll install it like that. And this is another flash header that we make and sell. It's called a fan port. That needs to be timed. So the holes are only on the top side, and we'd want those facing up. So with the crush washer, you kind of, again, start to stack things. You'd torque your muzzle device on the half 28 9mm stuff. Try not to exceed 15 foot-pounds. The cross section is really thin. So like on an AR rifle, when you might have like a 22 caliber bore, this is, again, obviously 9mm or like 3/8 of an inch, and the wall thickness for your threaded portion is pretty thin. So try not to exceed 15 foot-pounds when you're using crush washers. Not on Evos, but on any 9mm platform that you're going to put a crush washer on. The last thing you would ever want to attach would be a suppressor. So again, if it's just like a half 28 fixed spacer, that's how you would attach this version. Not super common to go direct thread half 28 all the time. A lot of people, when they're using suppressors, they'll not use this the spacer, and that's fine because when your suppressor is attached, the gas is obviously going to vent out the front of the suppressor and not be an issue near the threads. So it's not bad if you are going to typically use your the M18x1 bird cage to just forego using the spacer here. Let's see if we can twist it off. This will be the last little tip, or I guess, again, just kind of our experience, what we've seen in the past. So if you typically run your Evo with a thread protector and the factory flash hider, it's not a bad thing to take your flash hider off, take your thread protector off, and just put your direct thread suppressor on. Again, this is a fairly common setup and works well. You don't need to worry about covering these threads each time you use a suppressor on and off. Just, again, the idea is to keep most of the carbon, the dirt, the buildup off the threads, and I guess most importantly, from deforming the threads with other muzzle devices or anything that can get in the threads and prevent then in the future your barrel nut from coming off easily or your factory flash hider from going back on. So I guess those are our kind of Evo tips and tricks. Thread protector, Loctite if you're going to keep it on there long term, and recognize that you have a really neat little spacer inside your factory box. And if you buy your Evo used, this is something you might want to ask for in the future. Just try to figure out where it is and if it can be included. CZ USA does sell them most of the time. They'll have them in stock, but it's a nice little thing that most people don't know about. So there you go. If you have any other questions or need any other information or help installing products, just reach out to us, give us a call. We're on Facebook, Instagram, email, phones work great too. So let us know what you need and we'll try to help you out. Thanks.